Morning, everybody. My name is Jared Leary. I've been drumming since 1998, and I still got plenty of stuff to work on, especially on tenor drums, because, you know, I marched snare drum. Now, today, I'm going to be practicing, and in these practice streams, there's a few hundred of them, I have timestamps in the description to show what I was practicing or what kind of a question I was answering. Think of this like office hours. I'm here to practice and improve. And if people have questions about how to get better as a performer or how to get better as an educator, then I'm here to help them out. I will often edit those responses that I give and put them into this drumming tips playlist. It's got over 19 hours of different questions that I've answered live on these streams. And there's timestamps in the description to show what kind of topic I was discussing in each one of these over 100 videos. So for example, this one is the first thing that I talk about is advice for first-year music majors. And then when it says and other drumming tips or and other teaching tips, that means there were more topics in there besides that. If it does not say that, like this one, so you're thinking of getting a doctorate in music, that means I spent almost 15 minutes just answering questions about whether or not it's worth it to get a doctorate in music education, which I have one. So that's why I was qualified to answer that. Now, in these live streams, I, again, am practicing or I'm answering Q&A. Now, I am very tired because one of our dogs had an upset stomach last night. So I need some motivation from Shia LaBeouf. Help me, Shia. We're going to reset him. Hide him because of copyright. Shia, motivate everybody. Do it! Just do it! Don't let your dreams be dreams. Yesterday, you said tomorrow. So just do it. Make your dreams come true. Just do it. Some people dream success while you're going to wake up and work hard at it. Nothing is impossible. You should get to the point where anyone else would quit, and you're not going to stop there. No, what are you waiting for? Do it. Just do it. Yes, you can. Just do it. He spits. If you're tired of starting over, stop giving up. Wow, everybody. We're so motivated now. Thanks to Shia LaBeouf. Woo-wee. Okay. Today, I'm going to be warming up. I'm going to warm up with a grid variation that I played the other day, the Flam 5 grid. And then I'm going to work on a roll exercise. And I'm specifically going to work on inside sweeps. I'll show you what that is. So I'll stretch and massage right before that. And then I'm going to chop out. It's going to be a shorter stream today because I am running late because I'm sleepy. But the thing that I'm going to warm up with is a grid variation. So if you're on my YouTube channel's home tab, it's got all the same content. Or if you're on the link that's up here, jaredleary.com, it's organized neater. But the thing that I'm going to play is a Flam 5 grid. So there's a ton of different rudiments on here and over 1,000 grid variations. And when you click either for the triplet or the 16th note, it opens up a playlist. Now, this playlist has 28 videos in here just for Flam 5s. And so if you click on this, Flam 5 on 1, it's got timestamps in the description of all these thousands of free drumming resources on my YouTube. So you can go at whatever BPM that you want to go. If you're going to waste everybody's time here, I'm just going to end up banning you. So just a quick FYI. There is a 20-second or so delay, so I'll give you a moment to act mature. We're going to start off at 120. I'm going to let this count off, and then I'm going to play along to it. I'm just using this to get my blood flowing, the hands moving, and then we'll stretch and massage. So after a brief moment, it counts off. Flam 5. Sweet. We'll just go up one click at a time. So the play-alongs, it goes up one click at a time, and it starts much slower than this. You can go as slow as 40 if you'd like to. Or if you want to play faster, you can go as fast as 200 on this particular play-along. Let's see. Hanks, one of the reasons why you're unsatisfied with your own life is because this is how you're spending your time. Choose wisely, my friend. Your life can get better if you work on it. Here we go. Two more reps. Good morning. Cool. Now, Hanks, one of the reasons why your life looks the way that it is because, again, you're spending your time wasting in it trying to make fun of people who are, how do I put this lightly? Trying to improve themselves, I guess, would be the lightest way to say it. So if you go to /drum, this takes you to my website. Thank you for the sub. It's one of the first links that is at the top of each one of the play-alongs. But on here, there's more content that I've created. But if you change it from /drum to /CV, you can see my qualifications. One of the reasons why I've accomplished all of these things, over 100 presentations, over a dozen publications, worked with every grade, kindergarten through doctoral student, etc., is because I don't waste my time on people trying to waste my time. So you were banned. I'm glad you're having a good time, but you're gone. So goodbye. How am I on this fine day? I'm tired, but otherwise I'm good. Thank you for asking. I'm going to stretch and massage now. So the stretch and massage that I'm going to do is a routine that I do daily. Highly recommend you do the same thing as well. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you. So when doing this, I'm going to stretch the side of the forearm. So hands are palms up. You pull in, you push through. You're recording a set with one mic. Is overhead best? I haven't done a lot of recording with drum kit. Probably an overhead. What I would test out is either an overhead or a mic that is maybe 10 or so feet away if you can, in front of the kit. So it gets the full room. It depends on like where it is acoustically. Like if it's in the corner of a room versus in the center of the room, etc. Like that's all going to create completely different acoustic responses in whatever kind of space you're in. But yeah, either an overhead, so you can capture all of the different sounds and all the different tones, or something in front. Test both and see what works best for you with the mic that you have. So like this microphone, the SM7B versus like the Rode, what is this, the NT1000? They're completely different. Like one is condenser, one is dynamic. So like I would position these differently. Like this one, you'd have to be up close, etc. Whereas this one, you can move it further away. So experiment with it. But sorry, I can't give like a more definitive answer. But again, thank you for the super chat. So that stretch that I did, stretch the side of the forearm. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stretch the underside of the forearm. So you could pull it back like this. So you could pull it one at a time. You could do it on the wall. The lower you go, the deeper the stretch. Or you can do this on your pad. So if you do it like this, don't put all your weight into it. That would be bad. And by the way, there's a massive like 20-second delay on when like you actually can see my responses. So sorry about that. The next one, I'm going to stretch the top side of the forearm. So the top side of the forearm, you could do one at a time like this. You could do this one on the wall. You could be like a zombie. The higher you go, the deeper the stretch. You could do this one on your leg like I did yesterday. Or you could do this here on your pad. Again, don't put all your weight into it. That'd be bad. Toms are kind of washing out. So the toms, That could be an issue with the tuning of the toms. Stretching the fingers now. Is this for practicing drum? Yeah, so this is a snare pad and this is a tenor pad. I'll play on that one here in a minute. But yeah, so Red Star, the tuning, it might be like your toms are too similar to like the bass drums in terms of they are tuned low, or too similar to the pitch tone of the snare drum. Or even the cymbals, like depending on what kind of like acoustic profile the cymbals have, like what kind of like style of cymbal they are, whether they're like Viennese or German or whatever. It could just be blending into it. So maybe try experimenting with the tuning. And then the positioning of the microphone as well might help with that. So if like the microphone is too close to, let's say, your ride cymbal, the ride cymbal might be burying the other instruments. So if you position it overhead or in front to like different angles, maybe that will help. But my guess is it has more to do with the tuning rather than the position of the mic. But those are two things that are just kind of coming to mind for potential issues. Okay, so that was the stretch routine that I do each day. But now I'm going to massage. So this just takes a couple of minutes. I'm going to massage the thumb on top and then the fingers underneath. So this is a great way to relax. So you're going to go not only on the muscle, so this is like the muscle that you use when you're just moving up and down. This is not flexing, this is literally just moving it up and down. But over time, it develops that particular muscle. So you massage on it as well as like in between the different muscles to try and relax things. You are very welcome. Good questions, though. You took drum lessons for 9 years. That's awesome. You haven't played for 4 years. You feel stuck. Sorry, reading through it. So you're basically too busy to be able to practice. You want to be able to do more, but you don't have a ton of time and you want to improve after some time off. So it's kind of like riding a bike. The way that like brains learn skills, it's like repetitive motions over time. Basically, when you keep firing the same neurons over and over, it makes your brain go, oh, this thing is important. Let's try and refine those neural firings to make it so that it is more consistent and better timing, etc. So it does this thing called myelinating. So it basically strengthens the connections in your brain to make it so that when you are drumming, then it's easier for you to do whatever that thing is that you are practicing. But the opposite happens when you stop practicing. So if you spend a few months or a few years not practicing, the myelination actually goes away. So your brain kind of prunes itself. So it gets rid of neural connections that it no longer needs. It goes, oh, this thing that was important, it's not really important anymore. So we don't really need to have those pathways strengthened. We're instead going to focus our resources in other areas. So your neural connections have kind of diminished over time. Since you said that you played for 9 years before taking some time off, you might still have like kind of a weaker connection there as opposed to no connection that you previously gained, but it's not going to be as strong as it used to be. That's totally normal. Now, to get back into it, all you got to do is just like practice, just keep working on it over time. The problem is that you're saying that you don't really have a lot of time because you're in university. Totally get that. Having been in school for a very long time, because I went from preschool all the way up through the doctorate. So I was in school for ever, basically, majority of my life. There have been periods of times where it's been very difficult to practice. So what I like to do in those moments, those seasons of life where it's hard, is trying to set aside time specifically dedicated to improving something. So if you have, like, let's say an hour a day, or maybe it's only an hour a week, what you want to do is go into that practice session with a plan. So when you go into it, you can be like, I'm going to work on blank. In this case, today's stream, I'm going to be working on inside sweeps on the interior drums because that is something that I need to work on for tenors. That's something that I want to actively improve. So that is the plan that I set for today. Now, that plan means that I'm going to spend the majority of today's stream working on that thing. And then at the very end of the stream, I'm going to play through something that'll give me some goals to work on for next time. So I might chop out with something, or I might play a different kind of technique that I want to see. How does this feel, or how does this sound when I play through it faster? That data that I collect from that particular experience and go, oh, this went well, this did not, it informs what I do on the next practice session. So what I'm trying to say is, like, for any practice session you do, go into it with a goal, a very focused, this is what I want to improve today. And spend like 90% of your day or time working on that particular goal. And then the last 10% of the time, collect data that will inform what you will then work on for your next practice session. So spend 90% practicing, 10% collecting data that informs what you do for the next 90% when you're practicing. Now, if you are doing this and you're like, okay, well, I figured out what I want to do, but I don't know how to practice that. In between the practice sessions, that's when you spend some time learning from other people, whether it's like the free resources on YouTube or talking to other drummers or taking lessons or whatever, and learning different approaches, multiple different approaches for what can I do to work on that goal that I have for my next particular practice session. So for example, if you're on my website or on the home tab on my YouTube, if you scroll all the way down into the tips and lessons section, there are a bunch of these like scripted lessons, like how to hold traditional grip. If you're like, I have a goal to improve my traditional grip, but I don't know how, this video might help you. Or you might have like, I want to speed up rudiments. Well, this video on how to speed up any rudiment might help you out with that, etc. But then there's also some more tips of like questions, like the one that you asked in the chat, or in this drumming tips playlist that currently has 19 hours of drumming Q&A in here. So this might be able to help you because somebody else could have asked a similar question like, how do I improve this? Or how do I speed up this? Or whatever. So there are almost 20 hours at this point of like Q&A that I've answered on here. So this might be able to help you to figure out what to practice or how to practice, etc. If you get to a point where you are spending that 90% of your time and it feels like it's like not improving and it's a very specific thing, you can come back into either a video or into these live streams and ask a follow-up question and be like, hey, I've been working on my flams, but my grace note stays high. How do I improve that? Or whatever it is, etc. But these resources that are either on my website, which is linked at the top of the screen, or on my home tab of YouTube, if you scroll all the way down past all these thousands of play-alongs, are found inside of this tips and lessons section. So whatever you want to do, either go to the website or go to the home tab. Just click on any of the headers here to actually expand it, but it's all the same content in terms of the free play-alongs and the free resources and whatnot. A good question. I have two more massages that I'm gonna do. So one is massaging the palm of the hand with the thumb, and then the other is massaging the back side of the hand with the fingers to try and get nice and relaxed. And sorry, the text is really small, so I need to like increase it or move my monitor or something. But I can't see everybody's names on here. But good questions so far today. Okay. So like I mentioned, the thing that I'm working on today is the inside sweeps on tenors. Do one last massage. Now, the reason why I'm working on this is because on a previous tenor stream, when I was playing through the different sweeps, which is like when you play like a roll or a diddle, and you're going from one drum to another drum, from the first to the second note, going to the outside, so going away from my body, outside, it was feeling fine. But going to the inside, going toward my body, it did not feel fine. So I'm going to switch to tenor sticks, which are actually a little bit shorter. And what I'm going to do is work on interior sweeps. So I'm going from drum 1 to drum 2, so the first to the second note of the diddle. And then for the left hand, it's actually going from drum 2 to drum 1, so it's the opposite of that. So doing the opposite version, going to the outside, woo! It feels much more comfortable than going to the inside. So when I'm doing this, maybe I'll need to work on that next time. It felt more comfortable the last time I was working on this. So today, I'm going to start off playing a roll exercise, and I'm just going to do right hand moving to the inside on the rolls, and then the left hand's move to the inside on the rolls. Now, the exercise that I'm going to use to do this, if we go into the technique section of my home tab, there are almost 500 technique exercises just in this particular section. But if we scroll all the way down to the 16th note diddle variations at the end of this section, you can scroll, and there are a ton of different exercises in here. The one that I'm going to work on is a variation of an exercise called gallop. And I'm going to play through it slow, and I'm going to go up a few clicks at a time to see what is happening with my technique as I gradually speed up. Are these S3s? Oh, the sticks. These are Hardeman tenor sticks. So they are similar to normal Hardemans in terms of the barrel shaped, but they are shorter. So if we line them up butt to butt, you can see that the tenor version with the bigger barrel head is shorter. Makes it a little bit easier for crossovers. But the sticks that I use for chopping out and for normal technique are the hammers, which are also Hardemans, but they are just basically extra heavy versions of the Hardemans. So that way it works on your chops more. But I'm going to play this exercise at 40. Whoop. Okay. And I'm just going to do the inside sweeps. Thank you for the sub. Again, the home tab is where you can find all the thousands of free play-alongs and drumming resources. Here we go. Ready and go. E and This is why we're practicing. You're very welcome. I'm glad I can help in some way. Check out the tips and lessons section. Sorry, I lost track of it. It's too loud. Well. There we go. I felt like I was just screaming over it. But anyways, what I was saying is you're welcome. Let me know if you have questions in the future as you're practicing. Okay, so this, again, is the inside sweeps. I'm trying to keep my playing zones efficient, so it's the shortest distance between drum 1 to drum 2 and vice versa when playing the left hand. When I'm doing this, I'm trying to play here as opposed to in the center of the head. So if you haven't seen the playing zone video in the tips and lessons under the drumming lessons playlist, that I talk about how the tenor playing zones change. Check that one out to learn more about this one. But I'm trying to keep it efficient without hitting the rim and without going too far so that it's inefficient in playing something like this or playing in the center of the head, which would give it a dead sound if this was actually like tunable heads as opposed to a particular pad. Now, because I am working on this to like collect some data, instead of going up one click at a time, which I'd recommend to refine stuff, I want to see what exactly was going on with my sweeps that I didn't like with the left hand in particular. So I'm going to start going up by 5 clicks. You could also do it by 10, but I wouldn't really recommend going much more than that, just to collect data. So as you speed up, you can see what is changing with the playing, etc. By the way, whenever you're practicing with any of these play-alongs or a metronome, try and keep the play-along just a little bit quieter than you're playing. So that way you can hear your playing and kind of bury the metronome or the play-along. reminds you of down with sickness. It's funny. I forget where I heard this, whether it was like on social media or with a friend or whatever, who has kids, but they had a kid who would like request the monkey song, and they're like, "What are you talking about? Like, what song is the monkey song that you want me to play?" And they the part the ooh ah, 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 the in Down with the Sickness, I think is a monkey, so they refer to it as a monkey. So the monkey song. So whenever I think of Down with the Sickness, I think of that. It makes me laugh. That's a little too quiet. Woo! Oops. Tap roll. My bad. Okay, so when doing the sweeps that are diddles, so there's two potential points for you to basically hit the rim. So the first one is the first note. So this is, I'm not starting far enough on the outside of where I'm about to do the sweep. So if I start too close, because I'm trying to keep it efficient, but it hit the rim on that first note, like this, that's bad. And then if I don't go far enough, if I don't move enough, that shifting motion from drum 1 to drum 2, or drum 2 to drum 1, if I'm doing the left hand, if it doesn't go far enough, then I'll hit the rim on that second note like this. So depending on if you're hitting the rim on the first note or the second note, it tells you, do I need to move my hand outside more, or do I need to just work on that shifting motion from the elbow to be able to get from one drum to the next drum, whether it's a sweep like this or maybe a sweep like all the way across to drum 4 or whatever. Knowing that will allow you to be able to fix whatever the issue is that you're having with this. Let's go up another few clicks. Again, just kind of collecting some data on this. I have been very busy the last couple of months with like travel and family, and I got sick, etc., cold. So I need to like get data to like what to practice for the tenor drums. So we're gonna go up a few clicks at a time. Bad attack. Okay, so the one rim click that I hit on there, it was the first note of a diddle on the left hand, which means that I didn't start in the correct playing zone. I started too close to here because of trying to keep it efficient, but I, was a little too efficient. So that only happened once, so it's an inconsistent error. So I don't need to focus on it. But if it's happening repeatedly, like it just keeps hitting the first note over and over and over, then that's a consistent error where I need to go, oh, I need to adjust my starting position with playing on the drums. So focus on those consistent errors rather than the inconsistent ones. If you keep doing inconsistent stuff, then it's likely a mental thing, like you're not focused, like you're focusing on other things. Usually the issue with the students that I work with and with myself. A little faster. Oops. Oh, I started playing the last line. My bad. So instead of playing right into here, I started playing this line. Whoops. A lot of the mistakes I end up making are because, like, I'm trying to balance being informative or educational while also sometimes being more entertaining, or also, you know, practicing. And so, like, trying to balance all of those, sometimes my brain focuses on one over the other too much, and then it negatively impacts my playing, which it did there because I played the wrong thing. Whoops. Unsubscribe. I understand. It's okay. Here we go. 65. Wow, so fast. So for that one, my stick just hit and then it caused it to like cascade into more rim clicks because of that. The thing that I'm really trying to focus on right now is my left hand. So my left hand, because I did traditional, is just not where I want it to be with my right hand for match grip. But the left hand in particular, it has this tendency to change its angle to like flatten out. Not only when I'm playing on one drum, but especially if I'm doing like different sweeps and stuff. So I'm trying to maintain the exact same position when playing on one drum and just pivoting at the elbow to move to a different spot. So when doing these sweeps, my left hand is like wanting to like flatten out, or sometimes even like go into like a French grip or whatever, where they're like the thumbs on top. I'm trying to maintain the slope while moving across playing different drums, all that fun stuff. So that's the main thing that I'm kind of like checking in on as I speed this up. And I'm noticing more and more as I go faster that the left hand is like trying to creep into a different angle than I would like. By the way, I've been clicking on BPMs that end with a 0 or a 5. And they all have this like few seconds to get yourself set up. So when you click on it, you don't have to like immediately hear the tap off. But every other one of these BPMs, like 1 through 4 and from 6 through 9, they just immediately start tapping off. So pro tip, when using any of these thousands of play-alongs on my home tab of YouTube, click on a 0 or a 5 for a BPM in case you need to get your stick set up after you click on it. It'll give you this brief respite. Rest here, weary traveler. You did not see that. I just started playing the wrong exercise. Whoopsies. So as I speed this up, it's getting more and more inconsistent, which is to be expected. But the thing that I'm noticing is the returning back to the starting position is sometimes going a little bit too slow, and because it's like a stick is in the way of the other one that's about to play, it ends up hitting it, and that's creating some issues. So what I need to do is when I finish with that right hand on drum 2, I need to immediately like get out of the way. So that way my left hand doesn't hit it, and vice versa. I need to immediately get that left hand out of the way. So with the rebound on that second note, I need to jump right back into it. The correct position. Cool. Let's see what other inconsistencies we can find as we go faster. 75. Flawless. Woo! Yeah, it's so inconsistent right now. Can you tell I'm March snare? I'm not sure. Like, one of the issues is my sticks hit and then my thumb just came off the stick, so I almost lost it. But the rim clicks, with the left hand in particular, I might need to like slow this down with like the camera and see like what exactly is happening with the technique to cause some of those issues. Let's try this. So let's see here. We're gonna do this at, I'll show you the screen, and then I'll switch back to the overhead. So we're gonna do it at 80 again, and then I'll show you one way that you can actually like practice with a camera. So we'll have the overhead 1 and 2. Here we go. Perfect. Okay, so that'll be a good one to look at. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull up the live stream. Whoop. And let me mute it. I'm going to watch this back to figure out like what can I work on with that? What's changing with my hands? So Fortnite win, never. Let's rewind back a bit. Okay, so this should be the tap off. Cool. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually slow this down. So rather than having the playback speed be normal, I'm going to play it back at a quarter of the speed. Okay, so the resolution's not as good as I would like it to be because, you know, it's a live stream. But this can kind of show what's happening with the hands. So my left hand angles, camera's like slightly off center actually, now that I'm looking at it. It's like a little bit over and angled. But the left hand angles at the moment is just like a little bit flatter than the right. And then the fulcrum is different on the left. So the left is a little bit too pointy. What I want is like this nice relaxed fulcrum. Like this is great. But if it's too pointy, then it's going to create some inconsistencies with the sound. So I need to pull that finger back a little bit. Just kind of scoot it back to the correct position. Let's see what else I could work on with this. It was the ending where it just like got really inconsistent with it. Unfortunately, like the resolution of this live stream and the frame rate, it's not allowing me to easily see the stick motion as if I was like doing like 4K at like 60 frames a second or something like that. But it can at least like show like the positions. Like this right hand, sometimes the position, the playing zone is like here as opposed to right here. So I could work on that more, like trying to make it more refined so it's a little bit closer to the rim. That could be helpful for the playing. The left hand right there was starting in a good spot, but I might be getting too close to the rim, which is where I was hitting. Yeah. Yeah, so I could keep working on that. Good morning to you, Glem, on Twitch. Pretty sure you know exactly who wrote it that year. Yeah, it definitely isn't the organization. So I believe it was up to 1997, I think, when the caption head wrote. But up to like after that point, it was all students of the organization who wrote it. So like they wouldn't have any claim over the ownership of that unless the members sign a contract saying like anything you create, like for individuals and ensembles for I&E, then they would own it. But yeah, it would be odd for a contract like that to exist. But yeah, so like monetization is turned off on all of those videos. So when they hopefully reach out for like a dialogue, I can be like, look, like out of all the chop exercises in the last year, I think I've made like $10 combined with all of them. So even with monetization turned on for like every single one of the shopping sprees, I would still make like a few bucks at most off of it. So if you want a few dollars, I can send you a check for that. But monetization's turned off, so hopefully it'll allow them to like, okay, you're not making money off of this. Let's just keep it up for preservation and whatnot. But I mean, we'll see. They have like 2 weeks to be able to respond to that, so not entirely sure. But yeah, I know for that year it was not them, and the year for before as well, 1999, and then I don't know about 98. I'm pretty sure it was also members of the line that was doing that. I'm trying to remember. Day 100 of asking for a Fortnite stream. You're funny. Still just kind of looking at this. The part of the issue, again, is this angle is like, it's slightly like angled like this as opposed to straight down. So it's kind of giving like a little bit of a skew with this. But the left hand is flattening out here again. Just a little bit more than I would like. And then the angle of the wrist when looking at this, it's like it's changing as opposed to keeping it the same and just moving like this. It's sort of like moving in like that. Well, it's like it's dragging the stick like that. This is like a very exaggerated version of it, which is not what I want. So what I want is for it to just like maintain the exact same motion when going vertically, and I'm just moving horizontally going to the inside, etc. So that's something that I can continue to work on. Let's see. I'm reading through your comment. They are very nice and encouraging for you to audition again. That's awesome. I'm really happy to hear that. It's nice to hear when instructors are like, trying to actually help students. I've seen too many instances where it's like not that, which is unfortunate. But advice in terms of how to improve marching, I have a question for you, like as a follow-up. So is it like the moving with the drum and looking good, or is it playing while moving, like your feet get out of time, or is it memorizing the drill, or is it like so I guess I'll leave it at those like kind of 3 follow-up questions. Like, it's a great question and I'm happy to like point you to some resources or to answer it, but just for clarification for myself, what issue with the marching is it that you would like to be able to improve, if that makes sense? Cool. Okay, so this is something that you can do as well with your own playing, is just record yourself and then analyze it slow. With like YouTube, you can go as slow as like a quarter speed. And then if you have like YouTube Premium, you could go as fast as like 4 times your speed if you wanted to, so you can see what it looks like when you're playing super fast. Wow, I'm so amazing. Oh, actually looking at that, I wasn't looking over here on the left side. You can see the slice with that, so don't want that. So that's something I can keep working on as well. So that was a good thing to notice by being goofy and playing at 4x speed. I was playing while moving. You have to use your platforms and you audition for tenors. Oh, how to use your platform. Oh, okay. I'm glad I asked that follow-up question. So whenever you're moving with drumline, the vast majority of the directions that you move are going to be on your platform. So like elevated, raised up, where your heels are off the ground. The reason why is because when you're moving straight forward, your heel, you might have this like nice heel toe. So when people are like tracking and whatnot, they might like work on that like heel toe motion if they're like actually moving forward. But the vast majority of your motion is not going to be that. So if you're going diagonal, whether it's like forward or diagonal backwards, or you're going left and right, or you're going straight back, you're going to be on your platform. So the platform strength and stability is the most important thing to work on when it comes to marching with drums, unless your entire drill is just moving forward, i.e. you're like a parade band or something that only moves forward the entire time. Outside of that rare instance, you need to be able to strengthen your like calf muscles and your quads, etc., like the different parts of your lower body to be able to move in that direction for the majority of the motions that you're doing. So one of the ways that we worked on that with the drumlines that I taught is we'd actually run backwards. So when you're running backwards, you're actually having to push off of your platform to be able to move this way. So it's not like a scooping motion where you're kind of like moving back like that. You're actually keeping your legs relatively straight and pushing off. And so when we would do like laps around the track or around the field that we were rehearsing in, we would warm up with that to help strengthen that. We would also do with our drums on, or sometimes with our drums off, like calf raises. So like right now I have like one leg off and I'm just doing a calf raise, lifting up and down with the drums on to be able to strengthen up. And the slower you go and the more controlled you go when lifting and lowering, the more consistency, control, and strength you're going to have with like the different muscles related to that. So when it comes to like developing the platform, it's just more time spent doing that. So if you're practicing like moving and playing and you are tracking straight forward, that might not be as helpful as actually tracking and going backward. So staying on that platform and moving and playing while going backward. Just have, an instructor who's there to like, hey, you're about to run into a wall. Like, be able to help you out with that. But if you follow on a track, you can just like a track around a football field. you can just like pick one of the lines, stand on it, and just follow along that while you track backwards. You can also do that while going crab stepping to the left or right, or as weird as this is, go at an angle. So like pick a diagonal that you want to work on and just move in that direction while you are just tracking. So the more time you spend with that platform and keeping that stable without making it so that every time you're moving with that platform, you're not bouncing, especially with like a set of tenors. We don't make them like really floppy. Don't do that. The better it's going to feel and the easier it is going to be able to move with it. So it's a time spent on that skill that is likely what is lacking right now with your motion. Sounds good. Thanks for the advice. You're welcome. You're auditioning again next September. Awesome. You placed first in your first competition? That's awesome. High fives to all the students and staff and whatnot for working hard on that. That's great. But if you want more tips like this, what does that say? T1 Productions. Go to the home tab of YouTube. And what I end up doing is I edit a lot of these questions that I get, and I put them into this playlist, the Drumming Tips playlist. It's got almost 20 hours of me responding to Q&A on these streams. And then in the drumming lessons, this is like the scripted lessons on like, since you're a tenor player, like how to create tenor splits. Or this one I think comes out tomorrow, which is why tenor drummers are always tuning their drum heads. Or like the how to play crossovers on tenors. There's another one about like playing zones on tenors. So like there's a ton of scripted stuff in here. Here's the playing zone one, the thumbnail that looks like this. But there's a ton of other tips in here that are specific to tenor drummers. And I've actually put them into this playlist, the tenor tips and tutorials. So it's got like a compilation of just the tenor specific stuff. Hello to you. Are these electronic drums? So these drums back here, let me see if I can show you like this. No, is it not going to move forward more? No. Okay, well, these drums are acoustic drums that are hybrid setup. So they have mesh heads on them, and they have these low volume cymbals, which have like holes in them that make it so that they don't annoy everyone like around me. So the drums have a trigger on them that will basically turn them into electronic drums, so you can change what they sound like while playing quieter. So they're technically acoustic drums with that hybrid setup with the mesh heads and the low volume cymbals. It's just so that like if my wife is in the other room on the phone, like the people on the phone like literally can't hear me drumming because of the way that they're set up. But if you go to /gear on my website, it has a link to all of that stuff so you can see what they are. So this is linked at the bottom of each one of the play-alongs, or rather the top in the description. But if you go to percussion and scroll down past the books, these are the low-volume cymbals, and then these are the low-volume drum heads that I use when I'm practicing this stuff. And then as far as like the trigger and whatnot, if you go back up to the audio, these are the drum triggers. And then it's this one. So this is a cheap drum trigger. I am satisfied with it to an extent, but like if I were to play like, it will not pick up that roll with all the notes. It'd sound like, it kind of like sound like that as opposed to, getting all the notes in it. So it's a little frustrating at times, but for the vast majority of like the things that I'm practicing, it's fine for what I want to do. You think that it was written by Josh Pinney? Interesting. Oh, that's funny if that's the person that was kicked out. If that is the case, then I could see why they don't want anyone to ever play that again. Because that was like a year that a person that they want to forget as the core. That would be actually hilarious if that person came up with the spree in question that had the issue. Anyways, okay, so that is the /gear. Let's go back to here. Okay, so I've collected some data on like what I can work on next for the inside sweeps. I'll continue to practice it because, quite frankly, I'm not comfortable with them yet. But what I'm going to end up doing is slowing them down even more and just going up one click at a time. So the next tenor stream, I will do that. But let's chop out. So I'm going to switch back to the Hardeman hammers, which are the heavy sticks, which are great for working on chops. And we'll actually play through Rodeo again. We'll just play it fast on one drum. So if you scroll down here, Rodeo is in the technique section. When you click on any of these headers, it expands and it shows you all the different play-alongs here. But it's under the 16th note diddle variations. And if we go down to Rodeo. Oh, I went too far. There. Click. And I gotta unmute it. And we're gonna play it faster. That's funny. Honestly, like, I sent an email this morning, but I think it's just like a social media manager who might not even be a musician and have like any clue what they're talking about with it. So my guess is just like a blanket strike, and but we'll find out in like 2 weeks. So stay tuned. By the way, I have a few chats up on the screen, so sometimes I'm replying to people who aren't in your chat. Chops. There is a whole section with chop stuff. You can check that out on my home tab. But this is under the technique stuff. That sounds fun. I like this exercise. It's like an extended version of gallop, which is a classic. I started playing an extended version. I slurred out a diddle on the left hand on line 3. So if you want to unsubscribe now over that, I totally understand. I'm so sorry. Let's go faster. So, like I mentioned earlier when I was responding to C1, I don't know if I likely mispronounced that, so my apologies. I think it was the question that you asked. But what I'm doing at the end of this stream is I'm chopping out. So I'm going to try and find the breaking point and figure out what happens with my technique at that breaking point that is making it so that I can't play it and sound consistent or play as fast as I need to, etc. And then I will use that as data for informing my next like practice session that is on a pad. So in these like technique streams, I am spending the majority of the time refining one thing, and then at the end I just chop out to have fun, and then I come back and work on that one thing that I want to work on the next time. Yeah, Glim, I agree with you. I like the flow of it. It's such a unique spree because of the groupings being 3-4-5, as opposed to just like 12-8 the entire time. I really like the feel of it. It's a unique one, which would be a shame if they're like, no, we can't have a play along for that. But yeah, I'd have to go back and like find the specific interview. But there's an interview with the caption head where that caption head talks about for those years and other years how the students were the one that came up with those exercises. So again, if like they come back saying we own the copyright for it, be like, well, show me your contract, my dude, that says you own the music of your students. When you're playing this, make sure you're not like emphasizing the rolls and like no, don't do that. Keep it keep it all the same height. So the way that I've heard it described, if you were to practice this and somebody were to like have a recording of it like across the football field and like put it on mute, all they'd see is just this. Just the entire time when playing through it, it's just all one height. So we don't want to have like dips and valleys and whatnot when playing any kind of roll exercise. Like if you're playing triplet diddle, don't be like, don't do that. Or like, unless it's written that way, keep it all the same. That's the goal. All right, let's try this at 140. Will it sound good? I don't know. '99 was your favorite for years? Yeah, that one just holds a special place in my heart. It's such a good one. But yeah, I like the evolution of some of the sprees that they had over time, but the grouping in 2000 is super cool. But there's also like some of the other ones that are like from the other organizations that are also really cool that you wrote out. My arms are slowing down. Actually, I sped up a little bit right here, and then I slowed down a little bit right here. Overcompensating with it. My bad. All right, let's try 150. Yikes. This is going to be more of the pumping motion. So, like, if you're playing you're doing like a slower roll, you can wrist all of that. Like, you're just, etc. Eventually, you're going to get to a point where you're going to do what's called the pump, where you're going to kind of like you're churning butter or something. And it's going to turn into a controlled rebound stroke for those two notes while you're moving your arm up and down like this. So it's kind of like you're at a rave and you're just like... Can you tell I did a paper for my master's degree on rave subculture? It was fascinating. But anyways, so eventually when you get faster on the rolls, it's not going to be wristing it out or using fingers, depending on what technique you're using. It's going to literally just be controlling a rebound while you're just going do. So you got to actually like speed this up while you work on that controlled rebound while doing it. So it is an actual technique, but you're going to use it for like 5% of your playing, maybe 1% of your playing. It's only for the really fast stuff. Most of what you're playing, you can actually control it, wrist it, focus on the controlled rebound without having to add in that extra pumping motion while doing it. And same thing for traditional, by the way. You can like pump moving up and down like that. Anyways. Yeah, Maury Spree is a cool one. I also like the 2007 one? Am I remembering correctly? Is that the one? That one's a cool one with starting off the left. Memory serves me. Because, you know, it starts off the left. That would be cool if they did actually take a look at that. I feel like I wasn't paying attention enough and I screwed up. Focus. We're going to attempt it. Uh-oh. I slow down on the roll. It's so loud too. I'm turning it down a little. Let's try it again. I think I can do it, but this is definitely my breaking point. Slowing down. My arms are too tired today. Okay, yeah, it's slowing down on the longer rolls. Then I'd be off by a partial when I exited them. All right. We did it. This play along is one of the many different technique exercises that you can work on. If you go to the home tab on my YouTube channel, all of these different sections are expandable. So if you click on the chops, it shows you more chop exercises. Like if you want to work on shopping sprees, if you want to work on cheesy poofs, flamus is inside of here, the other chop exercises. The cheesy poofs and flamus, by the way, because of copyright with agreements with Murray, it only shows some of the music, so you can hear all of it, so you can practice with it. But because Murray still sells both of those exercises, it doesn't display the entire thing. So that was an agreement with Murray, so... all of the other exercises, though, thousands of them, show you the entire thing. So like when I warmed up with the grid variation, if you click on the header for grid, you can expand and you can practice on wacky stuff like Herta grid or book report grid, or you can do some of the more basic stuff like flam drag grid. Focus on rudiment on one. But there's over 1,000 grid variations in here. Limb independence, I'm going to practice this tomorrow, so stay tuned for some more of that. There's marching bass stuff. There's over 500 exercises related to that. There's scores and ensembles. There's sight reading exercises. There's almost 500 technique exercises. And then there's almost 20 hours of drumming tips from all this Q&A just in this playlist. And then this drumming lessons playlist has some scripted lessons inside of here on specific topics like traditional grip or playing zones or whatever. But this one is from all the Q&A on all these live streams. So there's a ton of different topics in here, ranging from like what are roughs to like should I get a doctorate in music, etc. So check those out if you're interested in it, and feel free to leave a question in a future live stream or just put it on a comment on a video. As long as you're not a troll like the person that was harassing me earlier, I respond to all the comments and questions and whatnot. Otherwise, if you are a troll, I just ban you because it's not worth my time. You still want to learn to mark time to that one? That one's a weird one. I think it was the 2007 one. Yeah, it's because it like shifts to where it feels like it's on the upbeat. So if you want to work on that one, good luck. That one would be a hard one to work on because it like feels like it changes meters, but it doesn't. But anyways, I'm going to call it here. I'm going to get ready for Borderlands 4 as long as the internet doesn't crash like it did yesterday. So I'll stream that for probably about an hour, hour and a half. And then tomorrow I'll work on some limb independence. But on Tuesday I'll be back on the pad. So stay tuned for more. If you enjoy these thousands of free resources, just share it with somebody else, and it just helps me out. But if you do not enjoy these resources, just share it with an enemy, because that still helps me out, and, you know, it annoys your enemies. But goodbye.